it's me, Kasumba.
Kasumba, what is the problem?
Put the phone in loud. He needs to know how mad I am.
Yes, sir.
So where are you now?
We are still at the scene, but I think they want to take me to police. I just wanted to hand him the keys and run away because they are really mad.
Kasumba, no need to worry. Just assure the gentleman that my insurance company will take care of all the expenses.
Boss, but the damage is really big.
Hello, boss. Whatever you call yourself, I don't want to know. I don't want to be braggart. What I want is you to pay me right now and now. Simple.
Sir, I mean every word. Like I have said, my car has a motor comprehensive insurance and my insurance company will take care of all the expenses.
You've had. Let me go. You've had.
Make the cost of comprehensive insurance a wise decision for your wallet, and you will get a peace of mind.
Buy your comprehensive insurance policy from any licensed insurance company, Legacy Towers Plot 5, Chadwendo Road, or visit ira.go.ug.
Have you thought of owning a safe and convenient dream home that suits your lifestyle? BuildNet is giving you quality and affordable apartments starting from as low as 55 million shillings. We have 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments located in Nigeria, Chira, and other places. Book an exquisite apartment now with a deposit of 5 million. Plan your future now and save for the uncertainty. Find us at Ntinda Complex Block B, First Floor. Call us on the contacts below or visit our website on www.buildnet.co.ug. BuildNet for quality and affordable apartments.
Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga is a seasoned lawyer and politician with an undisputed record of service. With leadership experience spanning over 30 years, Kadaga has mobilized for her party, NRM, and strived for constitutionalism and rule of law. She has stood firm on issues of the girl child, education, health, environment, women empowerment, and the underprivileged. As Speaker of Parliament, Kadaga has spearheaded campaigns against female genital mutilation, discrimination against people living with albinism, and the disabled. She now presents her credentials before the NRM National Conference convening from the 18th to the 20th of August to continue serving as the second National Vice Chairperson of NRM Female. For the continued steady progress of the party and the country, vote Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga.
Up next. This is NBS Live at 9.
Good evening and welcome to NBS Live at 9. First, a look at the headlines.
Brought to you by
Baby Junior Jelly. And more so, it is a grandma's recipe for a peaceful baby. Relaxes, softens. It is fragrant and friendly on the skin. It's the best to prevent a diaper rash, dry and sensitive skin.
Baby,
President Museveni commits to increasing funding for political parties as he launches bicycle distribution exercise for party NRM village chairpersons.
However, that money is not enough to run the daily activities of the party.
Government to halt repatriation of Ugandans from abroad.
It will be halted to pave way for decongestion of the quarantine centers.
Cautions Ugandans on laxity in prevention of COVID-19 as cases reach 1,500.
COVID can easily spread like a bushfire.
Also tonight, the plight of people with disabilities in the face of injustice. We bring you the story of people prone to violations in their search for justice.
It is somehow torturous mentally.
And an NBS focal point.
How were those names imposed on us?
Former Uganda Deputy Premier calls for a law to regulate naming and renaming of geographical features.
Institute a body of eminent Ugandans representing, gender diversity.
Brought to you by
Baby Junior Jelly, and more so, it is a grandma's recipe for a peaceful baby. Relaxes, softens, it is fragrant and friendly on the skin. It's the best to prevent a diaper rash, dry and sensitive skin.
This is NBS Live at 9. I'm Rukshana Namuimba and I'm joined by Ms. Hope Agwang for sign language interpretation. In a top story tonight, the chairman of the ruling National Resistance Movement Party, Yoweri Museveni, has pledged to increase political party funding from 10 billion shillings to 30 billion. Museveni says the money is meant to enable political parties carry out their operations effectively amidst the increasing financial pressure on parties. The president was speaking while flagging off bicycles to be distributed to NRM chairpersons in the over 68,000 villages. Zahara Namuli has that report.
Ugandans across the country want political parties and governments to represent their views and be responsive to their needs. Unfortunately, some political parties are financially strapped to implement and meet their set development goals. But according to the National Resistance Movement chairman, Yoweri Museveni, political parties are allocated only 10 billion shillings in each financial year. Museveni, who was speaking shortly after flagging off bicycles to be distributed to the NRM chairpersons in over 68,000 villages, says the current allocations cannot meet the demands of parties, thus calling for an increase in funding.
However, that money is not enough to run the daily activities of the party and also do capital development. Capital development means doing new things. But we have been managing with a bit of difficulties. Some of the NRM offices have not been paid for, and we are talking of increasing that money from 10 billion to about 30 billion or more.
The other political parties, however, contend that even the 10 billion shillings facilitation rarely come on time, which cripple their operations. Museveni noted that while a few NRM members like himself have committed monthly funds to the party to run activities, this is not enough now with an increasing human resource. In a scientific event, the president launched the distribution of bicycles donated to the party by an anonymous member to village chairpersons.
Now that should make mobilization easy. Because mobilization based on the village is easy because you just cycle or walk to the houses and you talk to people.
These also came with plans to have the party district leaders given motorcycles and vehicles for party activities. Zahara Namuli, NBS, Live at 9.
The Opposition Forum for Democratic Change supporters remain in the dark as the party remains tight-lipped on who will carry the presidential flag ahead of the 2021 presidential polls. Party chairperson Waswa Birigwa says the wait will be over next week when the party opens up nominations for presidential flag bearers to pick up their forms. We have the details.
It is increasingly becoming clear that retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye may not hold the FDC flag in the 2021 general elections. Those close to the four-time presidential aspirant have intimated that he may not return, claiming that he has asked the party to get another candidate. But even amidst the contradicting reports, his supporters remain hopeful that he will offer himself again. However, party chairman Waswa Birigwa says with or without Dr. Besigye, the party is strong and has a number of potential candidates to lead the party to victory.
FDC has many capable people who can hold the flag of FDC. Okay, many beautiful people who have invested, okay, in the party, who know the country very, very well, who know the constitution very, very well.
As the party waits for interested parties to pick nomination forms, Nathan Nandela Mafabi, the party secretary general, President Amuriat Oboy, and Waswa Birigwa, the party chairman, are some of the potential contenders.
Whoever's going to come, I'm sure they're well qualified and they're able to represent the party and, of course, eventually be able to become the flag bearer of the party and then become the president of Uganda. There's no doubt about it that we have the talent, we have a lot of good people.
But as the FDC delays, the ruling National Resistance Movement Party has confirmed President Yoweri Museveni as its 2021 presidential flag bearer. The National Unity Platform has already given its leader, Robert Kyagulanyi, the green light. General Muntu is also set to carry the flag for the Alliance for National Transformation, leaving FDC among the top parties without a clear position 5 months to the polls. Daniel Lutaya, Salma Namwanje, NBS. Live at 9.
The government will be halting the repatriation of Ugandans from overseas starting 25th August 2020 in an effort to minimize congestion in the COVID-19 quarantine centers. This comes as government continues to warn the general public against the growing laxity in complying with the guidelines in place to prevent the spread of COVID-19.
The easing of the lockdown was welcomed by business-minded people, but in it lies the proverbial rob that will be the country's bane in the fight against COVID-19. The death case at 13, while airport continues to receive Ugandans previously stranded abroad, with more determined to return to their birthplace. Government is considering halting repatriation of Ugandans stranded abroad due to COVID-19 pandemic.
Is continuing until the 25th of this month. Then after 25th, it will be halted to pave way for decongestion of the quarantine centers. Because remember, these people are supposed to be quarantined in designated centers. So if they are filled, the organizers need in a way to have a break.
The government of Uganda, through Information, Communication and Technology Minister Judith Nabakoba, attribute this to the worrying numbers of COVID-19 to public laxity in observing COVID-19 guidelines.
That responsibility as leaders of sensitizing our people effectively, persistently, to enable them understand that COVID is here. If we are seeing new districts coming on board with infections, districts like Ajumani, Masaka, Namisindwa, it means that COVID can easily spread like a bushfire. Our role should be for those districts who have not registered any case to work tirelessly to enable the situation remain wherever it is, such that you remain safe in your respective districts.
Not to leave any stone unturned, governors announced stringent measure on people found breaching the guidelines.
We have started getting complaints of misuse of the megaphones. Megaphones, because of politics and campaigns, they have started inciting violence. The language used on some megaphones is unacceptable. So we have directed police to monitor the operations of the megaphones. But also UCC is going to come up with guidelines for temporary authorization of the megaphones on how to cover this period.
Ever since July 23rd, when the first group of Ugandans were repatriated back home through Entebbe International Airport, a total of 2,970 have arrived home, while 740 are said to be repatriated before 25th of August 2020. Benson Ngom, Julius Chitone, NBS, live at 9.
Now, prone to violations more than anyone else, and still their quest for justice remains elusive. The story of persons with disabilities' search for justice is terrifying, as it is sad. In this report, Irene Namaja examines the social, physical and economic plight of persons living with disabilities.
This is Maria Amasengejje, a 24-year-old resident of Nansana in Wakiso district, who is 7 months pregnant. Amasengejje is ridden around by a 9-year-old niece after she was abandoned by her mother upon realizing she was pregnant. The situation worsened after the family of the 20-year-old lover shunned responsibility of a child born by a disabled girl. Living with a highly risk pregnancy, Amasengejje is surviving on hope that her child will grow up and take care of her. Her case is just one of the fateful tales of sexual manipulation and violations that women with disabilities suffer.
We did a case some years ago, and this girl was, when she was raped, she was 13. Now this is a girl that has what we call multiple disabilities. So she's deaf, she's blind, she can't walk, she can't talk, she can't move. So this girl becomes pregnant. And then the mother was like, by who? This girl only lives with me, the father and the brothers. So in this case, the suspects were those 3 brothers and the father.
Another common challenge is child neglect. This 16-year-old resident of Chizili village in Gayaza is a victim. He was abandoned by his father and was left to stay with his 8-year-old grandmother after the father denied any connection to a disabled child. The violations and injustices that people with disabilities face are endless.
Even under circumstances of this, they call it dispersing crowd, they don't know where to run. Because when you have even a personal assistant, that person will run away from you.
Because these LDs communicated and they didn't know Oloya Wills is a deaf person, they communicated to him, they talked to him and he didn't respond. They went ahead and shot him.
An endless list of injustices, and such are the challenges in accessing justice.
I'll tell you that 90% of our courts in Uganda are not physically accessible.
Most of the premises we occupy, they don't belong to us. So customizing them to what you want, it has been a challenge.
It becomes very difficult for a blind person to prove that maybe a crime against you was committed because you have not seen. It takes you a long process compared to one who has seen. Say how was dressed, what did you see, what did you witness?
There are no sign language interpreter. So you need to ensure that the judiciary has a standby sign language interpreter.
We do bring them in when the need arises, because these are cases which are not cases of every day.
Besides court users, frustrations with the justice system are shared by court officials with disabilities.
It is difficult for a person with physical disability who is a wheelchair user, who is an advocate, to go and represent his fellow person with disability.
After 13 years of working as an attorney at the Ministry of Justice, Elisha Bafidawala joined private practice at Malena Advocates. Bafidawala recounts a frustrating tale of navigating buildings where most courts are inaccessible.
I reached there and there were stairs throughout. Now, I had no way. I was one of the lawyers who have to be there. So the Garant policemen and women of Uganda put me in a chair and lifted me physically. It is humiliating for a lawyer to be lifted. It is somehow torturous mentally. It draws attention to you. It was very difficult for me.
Cast into a space that requires high competence, Bafidawala and other lawyers with disabilities are left at a loss of clients.
It takes away your competence. You are looked at as a person who will not be able to competently handle yet you are intelligently able to handle. But the environment has been structured in such a way that you are unable to deliver.
Daniel Mwesigwa suffered and lived through mental challenges at around 13 years, a journey that cast him at the forefront of fighting for the rights of people like him.
Once you are labeled a person with unsound mind, you don't go into a contract. Even if you hold an account, somebody has to sign for you. A marriage can be cancelled. Even your own will of things you have made in your own life.
He says theirs has been, and still is among other things, a fight against derogative language.
We have laws that still refer to those people as idiots, as imbeciles.
The Local Government Act, whether a person can lose an office, that one of the conditions is if he becomes unsound.
The Magistrate Court Act, the Trial and Indictment Act. When you go to the Penal Code Act, it refers to person with disabilities as criminal lunatics.
To me, I would like to ask the justice people to remove that phrase because it debases us. It doesn't equalize opportunities.
These are now calling for holistic extension of justice right from getting through physical doors, ability to survive intricate legal procedures, affordability, access to information, and use of friendly language, among others.
We could have Braille translated from print to Braille. Sometimes when you don't access this information and you have no evidence of what they are reading to you, no proof, affects your emotion, affects your confidence.
It doesn't matter how many they are. Those minorities also need rights, okay? They need to access. Because to be visually impaired, anyone can be.
We shall need to sit down with the leadership of the people with impairment, of the people with disabilities, so that when we are planning, we have their ideas in mind.
Disabilities come in different forms, including visual and hearing impairment, mental disability, little persons, cerebral palsy, autism, and Down syndrome, among others.
Courts are the center of justice. So if I have come to a court to get justice, and I'm not even getting justice to access the court, we can't be talking about justice.
Namaja, NBS, Live at 9.
Now, NRM delegates in Bukedi sub-region have raised concern over the party's methods of work, accusing the party leadership of only being active ahead of elections. These now want the party grassroots structures strengthened if they're to achieve their manifesto. The Bukedi delegates complained to the Speaker of Parliament, Rebecca Kadaga, who was seeking re-election as the party's second national vice chairman, women.
Candidates vying for the NRM Central Executive Committee positions continue to campaign in the different regions ahead of the party polls on Thursday. One of the candidates vying for the position of second national vice chairman, Rebecca Kadaga, spent the better half of the day campaigning in Bukedi region. Kadaga was welcomed by a delegation of members of parliament from the 7 districts of Bukedi sub-region before meeting Bukedi delegates. It is here that the party delegates complained of the party's failure to operationalize the grassroots structures, which they claim is negatively impacting on the party.
Our biggest challenge is having a party that has non-functional structures. We only come together on such functions.
I think the most poorest district, it is Sub-Bukedi region. We have been not recognized at all for the 30 years.
These also blame the party's leaders for only being active towards elections.
All these people only are active during campaign period. It is important to always interact with these people, have meetings with them, empower them, let them have some projects that can keep them, going.
Next time, the party structures should be active. Once someone is a chairperson of a party, they should be seen working on the ground.
I'm happy they have mentioned to the Speaker, even on the floor, we can just appropriate money because we are in charge of this country. We can decide as a parliament that all the chairpersons of youth of the ruling party, be facilitated in a special way, because we are a ruling party.
Kadaga, however, promised to improve in areas where the party has failed to deliver on its mandate.
You know, the SEC is a place for thinking and planning. So my work will be to look at areas which are deficient. I've already mentioned some of them in infrastructure, where the planning is not equitable. I've been talking about it, but I think I need to do more. And my voice has to be there to influence those people.
These later endorsed the Speaker as a sole candidate in Bukedi region, urging other candidates vying for the same position not to step in the region.
Mabasa, sole candidate.
Daniel Lutaya, David Ocheng, NBS, Live at 9.
NBS Live at 9 takes a break and returns with NBS Focal Point and so much more.
Keep your loved ones connected with Airtel voice bundles as they stay home safe. You can now gift any of the Airtel voice bundles to your loved ones free of charge. Yes, gifting of voice bundles is absolutely free of charge. All you have to do is dial *100*2*6#. Select from daily, weekly, monthly, Javise, Zawase, or even night bundles. Enter number you are gifting, select pay using airtime or Airtel Money to complete transaction. Gift any Airtel voice bundle and keep your loved ones connected at no cost. Airtel, the smartphone network.
The government of Uganda has prioritized mosquito net distribution campaigns as one of the most effective malaria preventive measures. Under its ongoing Under the Net campaign, the following districts will start receiving mosquito nets between the 9th and the 20th of August. Buweju, Bundibujo, Bunyangabu, Bushenyi, Isinjiro, Kabale, Kabarole, Kanungu, Kasese, Kazo, Chiboga, Chirihura, Chisoro, Chankwanzi, Liantonde, Mbarara, Mitoma, Nakaseke, Ntungamo, Ntoroko, Rubanda, Rubirizi, Rukiga, Rukunjiri, Ruampara, Shema, Kakumiro, and Kalangala. Register and receive your mosquito net from the VHTs when they come to your home. Sleep under the mosquito net every night. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health.
Yes, Keke. I'm here, boredom whole day. Life is hard. Here it is hunger, COVID, no money, but only demands. We don't have this, we don't have that. What do you think money just grows on trees for?
Daudi, I have to go. You see, I'm helping my wife in all ways. And today I'm the one cooking.
What? Cooking? Hey, have you turned into a woman?
My friend, since the lockdown, we share work in the home. It has brought us closer and we are happy.
Hello? Hello?
Helping with housework builds happy relationships and families. Try it.
Try it? Try it? The secret to being a real man is to always support your family with house chores.
Make happiness, not violence. For more information, counseling and referral, call our toll-free number 0800 200 600. This information is brought to you by CDFU with financial support from EU UN Spotlight Initiative and the Embassy of Sweden.
Life is for building a sweet home with your family. Mirembe Villas helps you realize this dream by offering you affordable houses with a 3-year payment period. You may have a 4-bedroom villa at a monthly installment of 12 million Uganda shillings, or a 3-bedroom bungalow at a monthly installment of 8.5 million Uganda shillings, or a 4-bedroom apartment at a monthly installment of 6.6 Uganda million shillings. With Mirembe Villas, you can design your own house, your own garden, and you deserve a secure gated community life with a lake view and golf course view. Mirembe Villas, your future home awaits you.
You're probably tired of the endless cracking, debonding, and hollowness in your tiles. It's because you've never used Quickset Normal Tile Adhesive Cement. Quickset is designed for installation of ceramic, clay, and cement-based tiles onto all types of cement-based surfaces. Quickset is tested and certified under Class 1 of US ISO standards. Find it in all hardware shops countrywide. Quickset Normal Tile Adhesive Cement, a product of Durapro Solutions.
Let us wash our hands.
Mother and child health services are still available even now during the COVID-19 pandemic. Feel free to come for antenatal care during the lockdown as scheduled, because if you don't, it's dangerous for the unborn baby. And here at the health center, we take precaution in many ways, like washing hands with soap and wearing masks. Let us work together and fight the spread of coronavirus.
As we prevent COVID-19, let us also keep our mothers and children safe and healthy. Maternal and child health services are always available at your nearest health facility. Remember to wash your hands regularly with soap and running water, or use an alcohol-based sanitizer. Keep a physical distance of at least 2 meters and always wear a mask properly whenever you are in public.
Welcome back. You're still watching NBS Live at 9. Now, tonight on NBS Focal Point, Samson Kasumba speaks to former Buganda Deputy Premier Apollo Nelson Makubuya, who is calling for the introduction of a law to consolidate policy and legislation on issues of naming and renaming of geographical features, roads and streets, as he questions the colonial legacy.
Hi, my name is Samson Kasumba and my guest is Owechitiwa Apollo Nelson Makubuya. He is the ex-Deputy Katikkiro of Buganda, ex-Attorney General, and he is currently the Palace Advisor to Ssaabasajja Kabaka wa Buganda. Owechitiwa, you're welcome to the Focal Point.
Thank you, Samson. It's a pleasure.
You're very passionate about matters. Africa matters, nationalism and all. Why? Is that down to your travels?
The fact that, we are Ugandans, we are Africans, and many of us are interested in the advancement of our communities. And in order to understand how to progress our communities from one phase to another, you need to understand the history. Yes. Where do we come from? Why things the way they are, what are the historical links to the current situations in which we live. And that takes me to the fact that I have published a book that talks about British and its rule in Uganda in the last period of colonization. So that is where my passion is. I have researched, I've written, I've talked, and on an everyday basis, I want to see the connection between that history and the present, and to see how it has shaped what we are living now.
The coming of colonization also can be traced back to the coming of education, and I doubt that anyone can argue that the Kabaka at the time made the wrong decision, bringing education and on its back, colonization.
In Africa, we had education.
Okay.
We understood medicine and some degree of science.
Yes.
We understood culture. We understood some degree of engineering. But when you study and read, you don't see many of these aspects of African development.
Okay.
Because we tend to dwell very much on colonial civilization and so on.
Okay.
But coming to your question is, you know, there are many times people talk about Europeans being invited to Uganda, to Buganda. But in 1885, when the British and other European states met in Berlin, in Germany, they met there on a mission. It's called the Berlin Conference. The Berlin Conference was not organized by Africans.
Absolutely not.
No African was represented in that Berlin Conference. But in that conference, they subdivided the continent of Africa between the British, the Italian, the French, the Belgians, and so on. And they made it their mission to come and civilize, but more importantly, to advance their commercial and strategic interests.
So they were
in
coming
Africa.
Anyway.
They were coming.
But there's
And
the letter.
There's
of
that letter.
invitation.
There's that letter, but it should be read and understood in context.
Okay.
Even though that letter was not written, even if it hadn't been written,
Okay.
these guys would have come.
We do not know that for sure. We
Nobody
don't
sent
know that.
a letter from Bunyoro
Okay.
to Takwin to invite anyone to go and visit Bunyoro and take over Bunyoro. I believe nobody wrote from Kabale or from Karamoja inviting these guys. These guys invited themselves on the most part. Of course, I appreciate that every exchange, even this exchange,
Absolutely.
there's something that's good that can come out of it.
I agree.
And the relationship between the British and the Africans, or generally between the colonizers and the colonized, was interactive. And I think that they picked as much as we picked from that interaction. I mean, I went to school, I learned English, I write in English, I speak English, I dress in an English way. My profession as a lawyer is premised on English.
Yes.
I went to an English university. So there's a lot that we can see attribute to colonial rule that is positive.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there is a narrative that is not so prominent. That is the darker side of colonial rule.
Okay.
And that is one of the areas that I tend to
that we should bring
discuss
up. Okay.
in this context of decolonization.
Okay. And talking about the positive side of colonization, just before we get into decolonization, don't you think that colonialism should have stayed a little longer so that we pick up the organization associated with it?
Even before the Europeans came, certainly here in Buganda, there was a sense of decorum, there was a sense of organization, there was a sense of development. Yes. For example, when Speak is one of the first Europeans that came, John Hannington Speak, is one of the first Europeans that came to Uganda. The other one was Grant,
yes,
then followed by Stanley, Henry Morton Stanley. When you read their work, they were amazed by the nature of organization they found in the palace of Buganda. They were amazed by the infrastructure, the roads.
Yes.
But I think it is important for us to understand that it wasn't completely a colonial institution or establishment
that organized
that organized.
I've read a lot from your book, and the information on some of the names that we still hold here on our roads is interesting, quote unquote interesting. Do you think we don't know how heinous some of these individuals were?
You know, the history tells us that once the Europeans settled, not in the same way they settled in Kenya, but they settled in Entebbe, in Kampala, in Fort Portal, in all these other towns, they carved out certain areas where they reside or they operate. In the case of Kampala, they carved out Nakasero Hill, Kololo Hill, Bugolobi and Buya to some extent,
yes,
as enclaves, if I may use the word, of European residences.
They did that
And they
in Kenya too.
they organized them in such a way that they had neat infrastructure, neat facilities, lighting, roads, water, electricity, and so on. Around those enclaves, because they were racialized, there was another level or layer of race, which was the Indian race.
Yes.
So you find places like Kamocha, places like Mengo, some aspects of Mengo, Bakuli, around there.
Those were to support
exactly.
colonization.
So those were residences for the Indian clerks and administrators. Then in the outer skirts, after those, Nakulavye, Bwaise, Chibuye, you know, Namngona, Namonga, and so on. Now those were the residences or the areas where the blacks and Katwe and so on were designed to live. And these didn't have any facilities compared to those of the European or Indian sections of the city.
Should we continue after colonization has left and independence, continue to have colonial concepts like boys' quarters?
I like the way you're going with this because it's talking about the legacy of colonialism.
Yes, neo-colonialism.
You can call it neo-colonialism. And there are many ways that you can see that in the way we live, in the way we communicate and relate, not just amongst ourselves, but also with the external world. And that legacy is, for me, one of the reasons that I'm talking about decolonization. And one aspect, a small aspect, is this whole culture of naming of roads, monuments, and symbols of colonial rule.
Yeah, and on that, I'm sorry to interrupt. Somebody has said that Apollo Nelson Makubia should walk the talk. Otherwise, his street name change campaign is self-promotion, and you're being accused of posturing.
When we talk about vestiges of colonial rule that remain in terms of street names, in terms of monuments, in terms of... I'm not talking about promoting Apollo Makubia. How did those names arise? How come we have roads named after Colville, Lugard, Tanan, Baskerville, Mackenzie, and all these other names? How were those names imposed on us? Was it by choice?
And for our viewer, I think you should read his book because some of the names he mentions are persons who committed pain, incredible amounts of pain on the population here.
And for me, that's my pain. We are glorifying these figures, even though, from what we should know, they were responsible for reprehensible acts. They were responsible for massacres of our people. They were responsible for crimes, if we're talking in today's parlance.
Against humanity.
Yes, crimes against humanity. And we shouldn't glorify and honor them in the manner that we do. And this is what my campaign is about. But going back to the point of...
Maybe I should ask, as a student of letters, a lawyer,
yes,
who of those would you want to go to the International Crimes Division of the High Court?
Lugard would be one of the first ones.
Yes.
He was responsible for the massacre of hundreds of people in the pursuit of Britain's or the commercial interests of his company. Tanan is another guy. Colville was responsible for the massacre of many people in Bunyoro, decimation of Bunyoro.
And he has a street, Colville Street.
Of course. Then we have the King's African Rifles, right here in Kololo. Who were the King's African Rifles? Who did they represent? What is their legacy? So you see, to the extent that we glorify and honor these figures, far above our own national figures, I think that there's a problem with this legacy, and a problem that we need to address as Africans. We need to tell our stories, we need to understand our history, we need to teach history in a perspective of an African, so that we better understand what our forefathers, what our ancestors had to contend with, and how the coming of colonial rule impacted on the development of our societies, not just in terms of the economy, but also the politics, our value systems, and, you know, the way we live.
Okay. The last question then is, when you move away from Colville, to who? Because again, if the politics is not right, you could move from one bad name to another questionable one.
What we are recommending is for there to be a law introduced that will consolidate policy and legislation on this issue of naming and renaming of geographical features, of street names. We want there to be some organization in that area. That's one. Two, we want to constitute a body of eminent Ugandans representing, you know, gender diversity, representing ethnic diversity, and, you know, having people with authority, people who have knowledge of our history and so on. I'm sure that there are many people like that who, coming into a room, can look at a criteria on who should be removed and who should be honored. And I think that that is the way to go. Many other countries have done it. I don't see how we can fail to do it.
Thank you very much, Owechitiwa Apollo Nelson Makubia, for making time for the Focal Point. I'll certainly call you back so that we talk about federal.
No, I'll be happy.
We have gone on matters federal. This has been the Focal Point. See you next time.
Abasi Gas. Save the environment, save time and money. Abasi Gas comes in different sizes: 6 kgs, 12 kgs, 19 kgs forklift cylinders for factories, and 50 kgs for hotels, restaurants, and industries. During this pandemic, Abasi Gas has offered a juicy discount on the 12 kgs full kit at $349,000 and refilling at $84,000. Also, 6 kgs full kit at $153,000 and refilling at $42,000. And for bulk purchase, visit us at our depot in Matuga or visit our head office in Kamocha opposite Kobil Petrol Station. We offer free delivery within Kampala. Abasi Gas, smart energy.
We caught up with a couple of parents visiting a new dad.
Being a father means ensuring a bright future for my boy Dante.
As a single mother, my children are all I live for. No matter what comes my way,
my job is to make sure that all my children are happy, healthy, and well educated. With True EduSave, we can ensure that for all our children.
What is the best child education plan in Uganda?
Of course, True EduSave.
We are Prudential. Our values mean a lot.
Prudential. Let's face life together. Tulinawe.
Tap into the convenience of ABSA contactless cards, another innovation that's turning banking on its head. Now, you can make fast, easy, and safe contactless payments for everyday items. That's Africanacity. That's ABSA.
With baby Johnny at jelly, I receive the mother's love, the mother's care. Boo, 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 boo. With baby Johnny at jelly, I receive the mother's touch, my favorite every day, and it soothes every moment. Baby Johnny at jelly is every baby.
Baby Junior Jelly, and more so, it is a grandma's recipe for a peaceful baby. Relaxes, softens, it is fragrant and friendly on the skin. It's the best to prevent a diaper rash, dry and sensitive skin.
Baby,
My name is Andrew Makinga, and I work as a radio and TV presenter in the Netherlands, but I'm originally from Uganda. Together with my good friends from the Uganda-Netherlands Business Convention, we came up with the ambitious plan to make 2 hours of TV live from this studio West Haven in Amsterdam. Think about it. The Pearl of Africa and the trading nation at the North Sea have a lot to offer to each other. This will all be produced by the lovely people of Africa Unlimited and live here on NBS TV. Join us to promote Uganda as a rewarding investment destination. And if you actively want to participate and engage in this program, contact us. Feel free. But above all, make sure you tune in on August the 21st.
To help fight the spread of coronavirus, learn Lifebuoy's hand washing habits. Wash hands with soap or use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Together, let's help fight the spread of coronavirus in Uganda.
Brought to you by...
Buy your comprehensive insurance policy from any licensed insurance company, Legacy Towers Plot 5, Chadwell Road, or visit ira.go.ug.
Now, as we turn to business, economist Dr. Frederick Muhumuza has cautioned Ugandans against being too quick to seek out credit for the recapitalization of their businesses in the wake of COVID-19. Dr. Muhumuza says the focus for any business should be staying operational, not revamping, as they wait for the storm to pass. Fatia Nasali has that report.
Recent Uganda Bankers Association report showed that in May, they received new loan applications totaling to 1.28 trillion shillings, though the requests were slightly lower at 1.13 trillion in April, even when many debtors requested for loan restructuring due to COVID-19 strain on businesses.
We had 785 applications for restructure.
However, economist Dr. Frederick Muhumuza is cautioning Ugandans against borrowing to recapitalize their businesses, yet it's evident that all sectors of the economy have been hit by the pandemic.
You need to be sure that you're borrowing, you are certain 70 to 80, 90% that whatever you are going to do will work out. People should not just borrow because I want to push. No, you can't push against the storm. Sometimes it is wiser to take shelter and let the storm pass.
Dr. Muhumuza contends that Uganda's economic outlook is extremely uncertain, largely because of the unpredictable intensity and duration of the pandemic. He says that even when the central bank projects economic growth in the range of 3.0 to 4.0%, with a possible growth from 5 to 6% in the financial year 2021-2022, the economic situation is tough.
Because even before we would use standard measures of making economic projections based on history, knowing that history quite often will repeat itself with small variations. But the presence of COVID has literally shattered everything. We are now dealing with uncertainty, not even risk anymore.
But with banks also in business, Dr. Muhumuza says financial institutions should not continue giving out loans, or else they risk recording more non-performing loans.
Any bank that is doing a lending needs to get into that mode. Whom am I lending money to? As this continues, we might even see those who are versatile not being able to pay back. Now, the non-performing loans will certainly increase, but the only chance on these is they are set by law.
To those that have lost their jobs, he says this is not the time to look for jobs, but rather to become frugal. The August Bank of Uganda monetary statement indicated that economic activities have slowed down in the second quarter of 2020. Nasali Fatia, NBS Live at 9.
Brought to you by...
Buy your comprehensive insurance policy from any licensed insurance company, Legacy Towers Plot 5, Chadwell Road, or visit ira.go.ug.
Partners for Resilience commend the government of Uganda for its effort in curbing the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. In Uganda, the socio-economic impacts of COVID-19 have adversely affected the same vulnerable populations often affected by the impacts of the climate change. The Partners for Resilience call upon the government of Uganda to prioritize vulnerable populations during the COVID-19 recovery, focus on enhancing Uganda's long-term resilience to the impacts of climate change by delivering on the commitments towards environment conservation under the nationally determined contributions, prioritize early action to mitigate the impacts of climate change, fast-track the processes for development of wetlands, policy and bill. Finally, we call upon the Parliament of Uganda to fast-track the passing of the Climate Change Bill into law to enable proactiveness to climate emergencies and improve resilience of Ugandans. This message is brought to you by funded by the Netherlands Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Prosper! Bambi ndatirayo ka airtime wali kuduka.
weterekere akasente ku MTN Momo eronyige *165# oba okozese My MTN app okusasulira airtime n'ebirala bingi wonna oba obyetaagidde. Weekuume ne MTN Momo.
The Champions League season is reaching a new peak. Are you ready for the ride? Europe's finest football clubs are about to experience unrivaled acceleration. And DSTV gives you the best seat in the house. It's the thrilling rush to the UEFA Champions League final with 11 games in 16 days. Upgrade to DSTV Compact Plus to experience every heart-stopping moment.
I can't turn back time, but I can choose how to live my life. With the new Movit Relaxer Cream, I get to wear my hair just like I live my life. The newly improved Movit Relaxer has a moisture lock ingredient that guarantees stronger, longer, healthy hair. So beat the stereotypes with the new Movit Relaxer. Go naturally curly, bouncy, or straight. Don't be ordinary, be extraordinary. Movit Relaxer's impact on black hair is dazzling. So get moving with Movit. You'll definitely stand out. Movit. All-day confidence.
As we wrap it up with sport, new world record holder Joshua Cheptegei has today received a hero's welcome at the Malaba border as he returned from French city Monaco, where he won the 5,000-meter Diamond League race. David Ocheng, was at the border to receive the 23-year-old and filed this report.
By 12 p.m., Joshua Cheptegei, flanked by officials of the Uganda High Commission in Kenya, had arrived at the Malaba points of entry. His arrival at the border brought a lot of excitement to the tens of waiting supporters as they jolted for a picture moment with the global star.
Okay, thank you.
Here he was received by Tororo District Deputy RDC Were Yahya, who appreciated him for the hard work, commending him for setting an example for the future generation.
We are very happy. So people, we encourage the younger generation to
to join in athletics. And as a government, we are going to support you.
Cheptegei, in his first words upon return, said hard work got him the victory as he thanked everyone who played a part in the milestone.
Mortal, but there, 12:35.37. The world record has been broken.
It's not been so easy, of course, with the situation now with COVID-19. It has reduced the world to completely nothing. And what COVID has taught us for sure is that if there's really something to learn from COVID, it is to be patient and to be humble. I know trying to go to Monaco has been a tug of war, but of course, I believed, I had hope that one time I will be cleared and of course travel to represent the country and make history. And yeah, it has happened, and I really want to say thank you to the different stakeholders who have been part of this journey.
He was later escorted to his home in Kapchora as he will now shift attention to the next competitions in October and the Olympics next year. The 23-year-old who is also the world cross-country champion and 15-kilometer road race world record holder set a new world record as he won the 500-meter race at the Monaco Diamond League with a time of 12 minutes 35.36 seconds, breaking Kenenisa Bekenle's 16-year-old record set in 2004 at the same event.
And he's still smiling. He's still in good shape. This fella, well, probably deserves the name Superman beside his own Joshua Cheptegei of Uganda, more than anybody in the history of distance running in the modern era.
And that brings us to the end of NBS Live at 9 tonight. I'm Rukshana Namuimba, and I was joined by Ms. Hope Agwang for sign language interpretation. Up next is Web Daniel Sabachije with NBS Score. Stay tuned.